Hola, ¿qué pasa todo el mundo? Soy BreShaun Spikes Reddick y está Blerdy News Weekly. Esta es mi crítica de la película de Coco. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell on the side of it so you can get notifications when I upload new content, new videos, new reviews, and all of that good stuff. So if you don't speak Spanish and you couldn't tell from all the context clues and my introduction, this is my movie review for Coco. And I know I'm a little late. Everybody, I know for a while this was like this huge ordeal, and I didn't see it for whatever reason, but I just watched it, and wow, so many great things about this movie. I won't get into spoilers too much just for people that haven't seen this movie yet. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, please go see this movie. I'm just going to go through a couple of things that I loved about this movie. I would go through like the good things and the bad things, but honestly, I don't think there was anything bad about this movie. Like, thoroughly enjoyed this movie. So without further ado, here are five things that make Coco such a great movie, such a needed movie. Here we go. Numero uno, the characters. Oh my gosh, the characters were so flushed out. They were so well written. They were so great together. The main character, Miguel, was just amazing. Like, you literally fall in love with this kid. He is funny, he is flawed, he is charismatic. He's a great person. It was such a wonderful journey to take with him, to take with his family, to take with all the people that he meets throughout the movie. Dante, his dog, had a personality of its own, of his own. Sorry about that. He was just the characters were just so well put together. And a lot of times, I find that stories are more plot driven rather than character driven, and I think this movie, it was plot driven, but it was also character driven as well. It had the movie focused on the characters, mainly Miguel, mainly his relationship with other people. I mean, he was the main character, so that makes sense. His abuelita, his great grandma. I don't know how to say great grandma in Spanish, so just all of the characters. Coco was a very important part of this story, and she had maybe a good 15 lines in the entire movie, and I am in love with his grandmother. She is the sweetest character, the most vulnerable, and a very important part. I mean, the whole movie is named after her, so she has a very important part in this story as well. And I guess that makes sense because I think the theme of this movie was family, familia. It was a very huge ordeal in this movie, and it was like right in your face. Just the importance of family, the struggles of family, the relatableness of his family. Like, I was literally thinking of people in his family that I'm like, I sort of know somebody like that in my family, stuff like that. Numero dos, the animation. Oh, the animation is so impeccable and superb in some parts of this movie. The entire movie is so well animated, but there's literally some parts of this movie that looked like almost too real. Like, I know I'm watching a cartoon, but some of it looked like I was actually looking at blades of grass, like actual blades of grass, and actual driplets of water. This animation was just like, man, Pixar is really like stepping their game. Like, their animation team is lit. I know typically, like, when new movies come out and these phenomena come out, there's like an animation technique that they develop for this movie. And I know for when The Incredibles came out, it was very difficult for them to animate Violet's hair because they had never really animated long hair. Speaking of Incredibles 2 comes out really soon. Excited about that. We'll talk about that soon. But back. I think the thing that that they really paid attention to and put a lot of detail into was when he was strumming the guitar. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, his fingers were actually playing the correct chords, and they were actually animated realistically, and that's just amazing. Just to think of all the stuff that we can do with animation now. Like, a lot of times, I think there's a stigma that animation is just like should be looked at by children, and I think people are really missing out because the amount of work and effort and skills that goes into animating things is just like off the wall, and I think they did an amazing job. Speaking of adults, there's a couple of adult jokes, not like dirty jokes or anything, but there were a couple of jokes that were in this movie that you can tell that the writers put in there because they knew adults would be watching this, most likely with their kids, and they needed adults to not be bored. Not that you can even be bored with this movie, but there was some of them in there that I caught and made me chuckle a little bit, so kudos for that. Numero three. That's right, because I can't roll my tongue. The culture. I am not Mexican myself. I know, hard to believe, but the culture in this movie made me proud to be Mexican. And I'm not even Mexican. Like, literally, this was so needed in Pixar. I love seeing other I can't say other cultures on the big screen. I love just learning about different cultures, and they really paid attention to detail with everything as far as Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, everything, just like the music, the clothing, the sound, the aesthetic of everything was just so ripe in culture. It really, like, if you are Mexican, I'm sure this was your Black Panther. This made you really be proud to be Mexican, and it is deserved. Numero cuatro. Cuatro. 4. Man, that tongue rolling gets me every time. Musica. Music was such a huge, just everything. Like, the music really drove this movie, whether it was Miguel wanting to be a musician and searching for that passion that he knew that was inside of him, searching for his great grandfather, or whatever he was to him. Music really did it for me in this movie, whether that was introducing so many great and original songs like Remember Me, and then just like the musical score in the background, just like underneath everything, that just made this movie feel even more authentic. I'm definitely downloading the soundtrack to this movie. And lastly, numero 5. Coco herself. Coco gets her own category in this movie review because she was so amazing. Like, she was the cutest, oldest. She had like 50 million wrinkles in her face, but I loved every last wrinkle. And speaking of wrinkles, back to the animation. Like, they really animated her so well. Like, all of the characters, they animated them so well. Like, there was personality, there was story with why they were animated the way they were, and how they moved and how they interacted with each other. Like, I wanted to be a part of Miguel's family. Like I said before, Coco is a very important part of this movie. Even though she only said like maybe 15 words, but her story, this is her story. She's the glue that pretty much glues everything together. All of the family members are glued around her, and it was such a beautiful just like simile to what families are usually. And I know, especially in Black families, there's usually a grandmother or great grandmother or big mama or something like that really, or mom, something that glues the family together. And I think that the people over at Pixar captured that so well that I have to just like give them an applause for that. Somebody's doing something right over at Pixar. But ultimately, I think Coco was such an amazing movie. I give it a 10 out of 10. It's really that great for me. Definitely, I suggest for you to go watch it multiple times. I probably will watch it again. This is a movie that is, I think it's a classic. I think you can put it in that shelf of classic movies that you can always come back to, and it warms your heart somehow. Like, this is a movie that will be talked about, and like I said, like, it was needed. It was much needed. Diversity. Like, when what has a movie done this great and was this thought out and was a blockbuster from Pixar that celebrated Mexican culture? Like, this was an amazing film, and I hope that this continues to happen, with people of color, with people's cultures being celebrated. If you like this video, give me a like, give me a subscription. I cannot talk today. I can't talk today. Anyway, give me a subscription. Comment down below what was your favorite part of the movie, and always remember, if nobody else tells you, I love you.